Hi, everyone. Welcome to my first episode of Carnivorous Conversations. I'm so happy to have a special guest on today. She has welcomed me to her channel a few times, so it's just a pleasure to have her. She is a mom, she is a leader in the carnivore space, and I am just so pleased to have her on. So, without further ado, we'll show you who we have today. Oh, there we go. All right. Hi, Ellie. How are you?
Hi, I am doing really well. How are you doing, Hannah?
I am doing great. I'm just so happy that you agreed to come to my channel. That's so fun to just have you here and to chat with you. It's nice to have a friend in the carnivore space. So, um, before we get started, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your story. We did have you on before, but I just for somebody who maybe hasn't seen your story, just to give them some background on you and kind of how you found carnivore.
Absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name is Ellie. I'm 34 years old, and I'm a wife, a mother of a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old. I can't believe it. And I've been on the carnivore diet for 13 months now. But previous to the carnivore diet, I had seen miraculous change with my health. From going from a calorie restricting, yo-yo dieting, emotional eater, I feel like the most common archetype of a unhealthy eater you can think of, right? Standard American diet person, and then I went to keto, and for basic stats, my weight was 240 pounds. I had chronic constipation where I would only go once a month. You heard me, once a month, and that was because of laxatives. And I had really bad knee pain. Um, I was incredibly depressed, anxiety, panic attacks, some symptoms of depersonalization disorder. I had no, I don't want to say I had no will to live, but I really had no like drive. I had no excitement. I was addicted to media, watching, YouTube and shows and video games and just trying to escape. And with heat, and I also had very irregular periods. I'd get them very sporadically. One time it came like 3 months later, then another time it'll be on time, and then 2 months later, and it was very sporadic. And I think I might have had some signs of, but I never got diagnosed because I didn't care about myself. I wasn't like, let's go to the doctor and figure it out all the time. I think I might have had some PCOS symptoms, some IBS symptoms, and some depersonalization symptoms as well. And I can say that with keto, the first 6 months I did that, I lost 53 pounds, tons and tons of inches. I gained my confidence back. I no longer had depression, and I was so happy. And I felt like I finally was living life. My husband and we I became pregnant with my daughter. This was around 2020, not 2019, late 2019, 2020. And when I went to the doctor, everything kind of like it went downhill because my doctor told me I was going to harm my baby if I continued to eat the keto diet. And so I listened to my authority figure, even though I had learned so much about keto and the benefits of it, even low carb. I was trying so hard to follow that advice, but then I self sabotaged myself with her words. I feel like I kind of got gaslighted a little bit, and I started to believe that what I was doing was actually going to harm my baby. And so I stopped doing keto, and the depression slowly started coming back, especially during the time period where there was a lot of fear and I was in a very dark place. I think most people were, but I felt like I had gone backwards. And then I had my son in 2022, and I was still kind of just eating the standard American diet, lots of processed foods, pizza, Chinese food, frozen foods. I didn't really know how to cook. And then I decided that in last year in 2023, I I didn't gain all my weight back, but I was 202 pounds, and all of the symptoms that I had before, they pretty much were back. I can say that my panic attacks had gone down significantly, but I think that's because I was home all the time. I was a stay-at-home mom, and it's like I wasn't in the busy world. I feel like there would have been things that would have made me crack, but I learned about the carnivore diet through Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I had tried it for a while, but my mindset wasn't there. But I knew it was going to be good, and I knew that it was going to be something that would help me because, and this is so sad to say this, because I wasn't pregnant anymore. There was no one that I could harm but myself. So I became a science experiment, as I think a lot of us do. And then I saw the 30-day update from Carrie from Homestead How, and that's when like everything like lit up in my mind. And he said, you have to remember your pain. That was something that really struck a chord within me. And he was telling everyone that they should make a YouTube channel just to share your story. And I found myself compelled to do that. And I was having a lot of dreams and a lot of visions of, that I should share my story if I can. And so I started my YouTube channel, Nourishment Redacted, which came from a dream where I was reading a book and it was talking about ancestral eating. And all of a sudden, all the words started becoming redacted on the page. And so then I was like, no, the nourishment's being redacted. And I was like, okay, this is probably long, but this is what I decided to do. And so since I've been on the carnivore diet for 13 months now, I am down to 170 pounds, which is 70 pounds for my heaviest. I've lost over 30 inches on this year alone. My bowel movements are more regular. I have so much energy. Like I recently moved, guys, and I was moving heavy furniture and boxes for 7 hours straight. Past me would have never even dreamed. Every time I had moved before, I literally just sat down and my husband did all the work, and I was like there. I was moving, and I feel like carnivore has made me a better person and a better wife and a better mother. And I am just so thankful for this way of eating.
Yeah. I am just so impressed by you, how far you've come, not only physically, but mentally. And I think a lot of people may start a weight loss journey for the physical benefits, but then, you start to realize that this is so much more than just physical things. It's, you change almost your whole person. At least I feel I have too. Like I'm just more confident, and I'm sure you feel that too. Like there's just a certain energy that you get when you go on carnivore. So on that note, one question I have is, when did you notice a change in your mental health?
I think that I noticed a change in my mental health the first month. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but this is something that happened to me when I was I had just started carnivore. I was about 4 days in, 6 days in, and I slipped in some water in my kitchen and I dislocated my knee. And this was a repeat injury. So I had previously dislocated my knee when I was in middle school. So, and then this is not related, but my other knee, I had a hairline fracture. So my knees are not good. They're kind of broken. So I felt, and I think that in another lifetime where I had not eaten the carnivore diet, I would have been incredibly depressed because I felt I could not take care of my children. I could not walk. I could, like, the first time, like, trying to go from the bed to the toilet, and my husband had to carry me because of, like, just, so much pain. And then having to rely on others who, I really don't have a lot of people around me that I trust with my children. And so I feel like even though all that stuff had happened, I was still happy. And I had a smile on my face, and I would wake up with energy. And it was just like, it was incredible. It was like, why is this happening? And I was actually lion diet for that first month because my husband was cooking all the meals and he's just like, here's beef, here's lamb, and I had butter too. Here's butter, here's salt, here you go. Simple meals. He's a good chef. And I really enjoyed that. And so it's pretty incredible how fast it was.
That's awesome, and I think that's really encouraging for anybody struggling with depression and anxiety or another mental illness. I think it's so important that we talk about that because I think there's a lot of people who don't always show that they have depression or have anxiety. They're very high functioning and are able to go about life. And like you said, sometimes you would put a smile on for other people, which I've done too. But you're internally, you're not feeling okay. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it's connected to what we're eating and what we're putting in our mouths and everything. A lot of people seek out medicine and everything, but that's what we're told. So I can understand where someone would come from. But that's why it's really important for you and other people in your position to speak out about it. So you're doing a great job. Um,
Yeah.
I want to ask a question, getting into more of your family life, about how has your husband supported your journey and how has he influenced your journey in carnivore?
Oh, he's so great. I love my husband so much. When I did keto, he did keto. When I did carnivore, he did carnivore too. Now, has he been 100% carnivore, like super strict, like I have the whole time? No. There's been like, especially when he's like super stressed out, like he'll eat something off plan, but then he always comes right back on it. And so I think that he supported me, especially that first month or two, like making all the meals and making sure that there wasn't anything in the house. Like if I was super desperate and I was like trying to go back to my old habits of emotional eating, making sure that there was nothing there that would cause me to do that. And he's just very supportive. And, like with the YouTube channel, if I need to go on, excuse me, if I need to come on a live stream or something, he's watching the kids and he's making sure that, all my equipment is good. And he's just been really, really wonderful. And I'd say that he's meat based. He's meat based and he drinks black coffee. But then there's sometimes he wants something else, and that's his choice. And I think that he's really benefited from carnivore a lot.
Good, good. I think even if you go meat based, it's better than a lot of the other choices you could make. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we have to be a little bit flexible with other people and their choices. And um but it sounds like your husband's very supportive, and I can attest to that from watching one of, I think it was your year update where he was in there, and just like he's so sweet and so supportive, and I can see that you guys care about each other a lot. And
Well,
it
thanks. Yeah,
helps. It helps to have that support. It really does. I feel that from my husband JT. He's helped me a lot, and we've kept each other on track. So I think that's the benefit of going through it with somebody else. They can kind of keep you accountable and support you.
absolutely. And what's great is that he does go off plan, which isn't very often, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Except there's one period of time where it was like out of control, and we're like, "Oh, you gotta come back," and we brought him back. Um, but it's really great because the old foods that would trigger me all the time, and I don't even have craving for those foods anymore, but it's not in the house. And I think that's really, really great. And I know that's not everyone's situation. A lot of people, they live in, like their kids are not doing it, or they're living with their parents, or they're living with roommates, or whatever the case may be. But I just want to encourage people that you can do it even if the environment is not 100% ideal.
Right, right. I 100% agree with that. And before we ask the next question, because we're going to get into some family stuff, more family stuff with kids. If you guys have any questions for Ellie or I, please just drop them in the comments. Put a QQQ in front of it, and then we'll get to those. One thing that I wanted to talk about is, how was your relationship with your kids before carnivore and after carnivore?
Yeah, when I could say that when after my daughter was born, and this is, after keto, I noticed that I had no energy. I couldn't produce breast milk, and I was trying so hard, eating all the oatmeal. Like, come on, like they told me if I ate oatmeal, a lot of carbs, I would produce milk. If only, and it's really funny because after she was born, I was trying so hard to go back to keto, and I would do it for like a week, but I had like, I had all those like old addiction and cravings, and I definitely didn't have the carnivore community to keep me, accountable and helpful. But like, I swear there was this one week where I was eating keto, and I kept, feeding her even though it wasn't enough to sustain her. And I swear I could hear gulping. I was like, so what is going on? But then I kind of blew it off, and I was like, oh no, it's a fluke. Never mind. It's so I just had to throw that in there because it's like, I think that's crazy. But
Yeah.
I was very, very like, I was sad. I was sad because I just felt like a failure as a mom because I couldn't sustain my child with my breast milk, and I was home all the time. And then when my son was born, things got a little bit better. We were like in a, what is it, like a 600 square foot apartment with just my husband, my daughter, and I. And then we moved into a condo, which was like 900 square feet. And that was like so much more room. And this was the place I just moved from. And it was just like, I felt like with my environment changing, that really, really helped. But then there was still some lingering things where it's like, if both kids are crying, and I would get like super stressed and and I felt like I was going to tear my hair out because I felt so overwhelmed. And the difference now that I'm on carnivore is that I'm aware when I'm triggered. I'm aware of when I'm starting to like be too perfectionistic or too controlling, and I'm just like, whoa, I need to take a step back. Sometimes like it comes out a little bit, and then I realize I'm like, no, before it would be complete blind. I would be completely blind to it. And so that's something that something I like to say is that carnivore is cheaper than therapy. And I feel like I am my own therapist, and these like talks and stuff like that, it's really great to like have the priorities set. And so I feel like my relationship with my kids and how I raise them is just so much better. And there's a lot, I feel more confident, and I have more energy, and it's really remarkable how much a person can change. And then that in turn benefits the children as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, kind of thinking about what you said, like, I wonder if because before, you have brain fog and everything, but I wonder if because our health wasn't sorted out before carnivore, that your brain focuses more on trying to fix that. And then all of the other mental issues that are happening, I think that maybe after you heal your body a little bit, you have room and space to see more of those issues and to work through them, because I have I've noticed that too. So, um and you obviously want to be a positive light with your kids. And everybody loses their patience at one point or another, but I do feel for me that before carnivore, I lose my patience a lot too, and now I'm a lot more patient. So,
That's great. And doesn't that feel so good to know that you're improving in parenting? Because I feel like sometimes it's a skill that we, number one, we just kind of fall into. We don't really know what you're doing. You're just like, okay, here's a baby. I don't know what to do. There's no handbook. And then it's like we're getting better at it.
yeah,
So that's awesome.
that's great. I'm just gonna say hi to a couple people who have dropped in the
Yeah.
chat really quick. Hi, booby goats. Welcome.
Hello.
And if anybody wants to say hi, please drop a comment. And there's my husband. um, and hi, Darth Carnivore. Nice to see you. And then Booby Goats dropped a comment from something we said earlier. So he said, took me 3 months for my anxiety to go away. Yay, carnivore. It really does help. I've heard depression anxiety, this schizophrenia, those sorts of disorders. I've heard everybody kind of improving those whenever I hear a story. So it just shows the magic of carnivore. You have to try it in order to see how it'll help you. Um, so kind of delving more into your relationship with your kids. Um, how do you how do you incorporate carnivore with your kids?
Okay, so when I first started carnivore, because this is like my second attempt,
Yeah.
right? My first attempt, I had gone like I don't even remember how long because I wasn't mentally there, like maybe 4 or 5 months. And when my son turned 6 months old, and that's when I started feeding him solid foods. I was eating carnivore, so he started eating carnivore with me. And my daughter, who is extremely picky, like at the time, she was only eating like, starches and carbs and bananas and, and all that stuff. And it was really difficult for her to eat meat. So it took longer for her. And sometimes we can get into this later if you want, but it's like a bit of a struggle still. But it's really funny because my son has been meat-based carnivore longer and more consistently than I have, because the times when I had fallen off that after that first time, I was still feeding him carnivore foods, and I was like, "You could do this." I don't know. He's just like I can see he's so strong. He's so strong, and he has like I swear he has a head that's made of metal because he will like throw himself, like as boys do. They're like, oh, and they throw themselves, and he'll hit the wall so hard, and he's fine. He's just like he laughs it
Yeah.
off. I'm like, wow, you're like a little caveman. And with my daughter, it took after I went into my second round, which has been the 13 months now. It was about like 4 months in, I started switching her diet slowly, taking away, one thing at a time. And now she's pretty much meat based, carnivore, except sometimes she'll have some fruit. And I don't think that's a big deal, in my opinion. It's not like a large amount of fruit. It's not like I'm giving her a whole apple. If anything, I give her like, half an apple or a quarter of an apple, and then my son will get a quarter of an apple, and that feels good to emphasize protein and to emphasize whole foods. Um, During this past year, I'd say that there were times where we would go out to a restaurant or something, and I'd let them eat whatever they want. But I soon saw these changes that affected them, especially my daughter. If she started eating, she ate something from a restaurant, and then it take like 3 to 5 days sometimes for her to like get back into the swing of things because she'd just be so focused on wanting to eat those other things. And I completely understand that. And I'm like, is it even worth it? Like, is it worth, giving them some of that, like, because they're metabolically healthy, that flexibility. But then it's like, come on, just eat your burger, please. Just eat the burger patty, please. Don't cry. Don't cry at the table, please. No, don't. Yeah, it's had a lot of tears. Like I tell it how it is. We've had a lot of struggles with her, but I think since I've incorporated some fruit into it, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
And she's like happy, but I make sure she eats the meat first, then she gets fruit. Because if I put the fruit and the meat in the same plate, she'll just eat the fruit and then be like, I'm full, and walk away. And like 20 minutes later, she'll be like, I'm hungry. I'm like, well, did you eat your meat? No. So that's kind of, and I see a big change in the kids with honestly, I have really good kids. I have really, really good kids. My daughter is strong-willed. I'm not gonna lie, she's strong-willed. And so if she has an idea in her head and she wants that, it can be a little bit of a power struggle. And so that's where eating carnivore comes in and is helpful for me because I'm learning that I can't just like become a monster and be like, good. I can't do that. So did I answer your question? I feel like
Yeah.
it went on a tangent there.
No, you did great. I think, kids have their own minds. They're little people and they also have to be able to choose carnivore. I think although they're not on carnivore, I still think you're doing a great job with them. And I think that we need to be flexible with how we view other people's decisions. We're all doing the best that we can. It's not like had them go back to free for all for everything. Like you're doing it with thought in mind. And you know I can see I've William has given us a power struggle here and there sometimes with things. And so I get it as a mom. Like it's going to be incredibly hard sometimes to you know have them eat the way you want. I don't think it's always going to work out perfectly. And so that kind of leads me to my next question. So, how has the community responded to you with your kids not being carnivore? We can talk about that next.
Oh my gosh, these are some spicy questions and I love it. Um, yeah, so I posted a video where my kids are not carnivore anymore and it's my fault. And I genuinely meant it that it was my fault because, and like I was saying earlier, I became aware of what I was doing because it was mostly her. Honestly, you put food in front of my son, he eats it like fine. With her, and I love her so much. And I feel like sometimes I feel bad
Mhm.
talking about this, but I think it's important because there might be a parent that's watching that might be going through the same thing. And so when she's older and she's like, Mom, why did you talk so bad about me? I'm going to tell her it's because I love you and I want to help others. And you're doing great. She is doing great most of the time. But with that video, okay, I realized that I was having so many power struggles with her. And I had done the thing where it was like, okay, you're not going to eat next meal and move on. Like I've done the tough love. I've done where I was literally like spoon feeding her. I'm like, come on, mommy will help you. I'm here. I've done the hand holding. I've done the if you eat this, I'll give you that. Like I feel like I've done it all, the good and the bad. And I felt like she was crying so much. Like sometimes there were meals where she was just crying, 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 crying. And I think that there is some sort of sensory issue there as well with with taste and texture. Like she won't eat eggs, she won't eat beef. And I was getting really worried that because especially since she's not eating beef and eggs, I was really worried about vitamin deficiencies because that's where I would say the most of the vitamins are on the carnivore diet. And so I was thinking to myself, like, if I give her a more varied diet, although it wouldn't be ideal getting vitamins from plant sources, there are still some nutrients in it. It's just not as much or as beneficial. So I was thinking, I need my daughter's belly to be full because if she's not eating enough, that's a problem. And so I feel like I made a happy median with her. And I was like, I think that this is what we're going to do. And so I took the carnivore family out of, like my YouTube branding or whatever. Like I don't want to promote something that's not actually happening. So I just say my kids are meat based. And so the reaction from all of that happening, I just wanted to recap just in case someone didn't watch that video, is that there were some people that are like, you need to be tough love and you can't do this. Like you're making a bad decision. No, she's going to be fine. You need to just tough it out. You need blah, blah, blah. And then there were other people that are like, I wish I had started this when my kids were young. I wish that I had, gone as far as you had, and you're making a priority in your children's life to make sure that meat is front and center. There was really kind and good comments like that. And so I felt like there was like two sides of it. It was like, and then there was like, it's okay. And I tried to focus more on the positive stuff for the most part, because that's what it really was at the end of the day. Or people were confused. They're like, why are you going to go back? It did nothing good for you. And I was like, don't you think I know that? I have so much fear in my heart that I'm going to mess up my kids with their diet. I've released a lot of that, but that's why I started my podcast, because I was like, what are other moms doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I need to talk to other mamas because it's hard. So it was good and bad.
Yeah. I feel like most things as I'm discovering in parenting are not necessarily easy. So sometimes some things might be, but um, kind of going back, I do feel like, again, don't worry about what other people are doing. You know, people have to realize you're doing what's best for you and your family. And it's still within that realm of, eating a proper human diet that doesn't just entail carnivore, entails keto and low carb and those sorts of things. Like just making steps in the right direction. And if your kids aren't quite carnivore yet, I feel like that's okay. You're still doing the best that you can. And my guess is it's released some of that pressure from them to eat the meat, and they're maybe a little bit more willing at times than they used to be. So,
Yeah, it's really great. And I'm really thankful that I decided to incorporate the fruit in more. And like I said, it's not a huge amount. Like majority of the meals are meat based or carnivore. But I hear my little one. Um, yeah, I lost my train of thought. I'm really happy with their progress, basically.
yes.
And I know that, and my husband and I, we've talked about it a lot. And he's like, he just thinks that, like, my daughter is incredibly intelligent. Like,
Yeah.
I can't, I'm like blown away by how articulate she is and how well she communicates and everything like that. And he's like, emotionally, she's not there with food right now. And it doesn't mean she won't ever do that. And I think there will be one day where she wants to eat steak and picanha and eggs, just like mommy and daddy and her brother. So I believe in her, and I'm just praying on it for real.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll look at some more questions. So a couple more came in. This one's from before, but I just wanted to comment on it. Booby goats, absolutely. You know what? It doesn't even have to be when I run out. Just email us, or if you have JT's number, text him, and we can set something up. I'm totally happy to do another interview with you. And then Nia's here. Hi, Nia. Thank you
Hi.
for commenting. You're always so sweet. I have to have you on at some time too.
You guys would get along so well. Nia's awesome.
Yeah. I sometimes will do those Thursday streams with her, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear everybody's perspectives and everything. And then, like kind of like we're doing now, we're just talking about carnivore and both moms, and it's nice to hear from other parents and whatnot. So, and Nia's a mom too, so she's a great resource. Let's see. I think there's a couple more. It says my youngest went carnivore with me, and she's so funny. When her dad buys her burger, she tosses the bread and eats the meat. That's awesome.
Hallelujah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Keep it up. That's awesome.
Yeah. William recently actually, like, sometimes we'll make that carnivore ice cream, but he's like, no, like won't even touch it. I'm like, oh, good for you. You don't have to have
Wow.
that if you don't want to. I was surprised. He used to like dig right in and everything. So
Yeah, I saw
um
that video. That looks so good. I need to try and make the carnivore ice cream. I think, no, we did try and make it once, and it came out good. I really enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's really good if you like slow turn it. Like we just got an ice cream maker.
Oh,
Before we were
okay.
just like putting it in the freezer, and then we found one actually at a rummage, which was super lucky, and
Oh,
it
nice.
turns out even better that way. So I highly recommend that. There's
Mm.
one more comment, and then I have another question for you. She said, or he said, I might have earned my carnivore wings by influencing and helping my female barber to go carnivore. There you go. I think it's like the happiest, best thing when you can help encourage someone to go carnivore because they're gonna go through a lot of healing,
It feels so good when someone actually listens. You're
right?
not just like this crazy snake oil person on the side of the road, like, listen, if you just remove all the plants, just eat meat, everything will go away. And it's free. It's like, oh.
Right. I know. People look at you sideways sometimes when
Mhm.
you mention carnivore, talk about it.
Hey,
Um,
I'll be right back. I just want to turn on a light because it's getting a little
sure,
dark in here.
absolutely, no problem. Yeah, and if you guys have any questions for Ellie, please just again put a QQQ in front of it and drop it in the comments. We're happy to try to answer anything that you have questions on. Okay. So back on that topic, how would you help someone who is getting some like comments and they're worried about it for feeding their kids something maybe not full carnivore, but more meat based, like you're talking about? How would you support them or talk them through it, kind of?
So if someone had come to me and they were wanting to feed their kids more meat based, what would be my advice for them? Okay, yeah, I think that the it's best to go slow. It's best to go slow and not put too many expectations on the child, and also not to put too many expectations on yourself. Because, like you had said earlier, children are human, they're people, and they have their own will. And the last thing we want to do, especially as parents or as a friend of a parent who is wanting to switch up their child's diet, is to make them have fear in their hearts. Like if you don't do it yesterday, like if you didn't do it yesterday, your kids are going to be really, really sick and not benefit from this at all. Um, it's take the small wins. Like if your kid say like they were just eating like chicken nuggets before and that was like really the only meat they were eating, and now they're eating eggs in the morning and everything else isn't really quite there, just like savor that win, because it's it's just going to build your confidence that in yourself and in your child and in your relationship, because you definitely want the relationship to be very strong and you want them to trust you, and you don't want them to think, oh, you're just taking all the good food away. Like it's like, no, these are the reasons why. These are the benefits that mommy has experienced, and hopefully you have other family members that are supportive of that. And yeah, I would just take it slow and just try, depending on their age. I would even explain it, even if they were just like 1 years old. I would just constantly explain it, because the kids will learn the language and they will understand that you're doing this because you love them and you want them to thrive.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice. Um, yeah, and I think, I love that you and I are both trying the best for our kids, because it's going to help start this revolution of next generation being much healthier than we are today. And that's one of the most important things. That's, I think, why you, part of the reason you started your podcast is try to bring more awareness. And I think that's beautiful.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. It's something that like weighs really heavy in my heart, and I feel like I think about it all day, every day, because it's like I mean, you just go outside and you go into a supermarket and you just see some of these, and I'm not judging when I see this. It's just, I just know that there could be a better way. But you see the cereal boxes and all the processed foods, and then you think about, how can a child be able to process all of these things when we as adults we're suffering literally so much from those things? It boggles my mind. And I just, sometimes I'll just say a little prayer like, I hope they find low carb, or I hope they cut out gluten, or I hope it's like it's something that puts them on the path of having their mind open to another possibility than, this food is cheap. I have a small budget.
Right.
This is what I'm going to feed them for convenience, because I feel like the convenience foods, they're not convenient at all because of the repercussions that they make. And carnivore food doesn't take as long as like
Right.
as those other meals. Like they maybe 10 minutes more if you're,
Right.
just it's crazy.
I feel like carnivores actually saved me a bunch of time, to be honest. Like, I used to cook these like Pinterest meals and it would take forever and also be more money. So it's funny that you actually say that, because I was like, you know what? It's a huge time saver for me. So
Yes, it's so easy. Like it's like literally, I can take a baking sheet, put a bunch of burgers on there, bake them. And if I want to, I'll pan fry them. But it's like I literally can bake them, and then I have like meals on meals on meals. And
right.
just add a side of something like some cheese or some yogurt or butter or bacon. And it's like, you're done.
Right. Exactly. I think that's a really good mom tip, actually. Go carnivore because it'll save you time and money.
Mhm.
So, uh,
Nia had called it because I love minimalism, and
yeah,
she was like, carnivore is like food minimalism, and I was like,
that's
like it
actually
just
good.
blew my
Yeah,
mind.
it's very
That's
true.
so good. She's brilliant.
She is. Booby goats. For my older kids, I stopped buying anything with seed oils and definitely read labels for them. I basically buy meat, fruit, and veggies for them. I think that's great. Again, you're trying to encourage them to make those choices, and it helps immensely not to have those things in the house. Even for me, I'm like, if there was a chocolate bar there, I'd be too tempted, So, um, obviously, I would not switch off carnivore, but it's too tempting to have that. So I think if you can get that stuff out of the house, like that's a great first step.
Absolutely.
And then we had a question come in from Nia, so I'll put that up and we can go through it. She asked, "Do your kids like dairy products? How do you both feel about quality of dairy or choosing products that are best for our kids?" You can
Do
go
you want to
first.
go first? Oh, okay, okay. It's like, um, yes, with an exclamation point, yes. They always start their day with a glass of milk. Now, the milk I get is organic A2 milk, which I find that protein is a little bit easier on the stomach, and it feels, basically like I have a very limited budget. And so when I can do organic or I can do a better quality product, I go for it. And so milk is definitely one of those areas that I pay a little bit more money in. My kids love cheese. My kids love I got this like really nice yogurt from full fat yogurt from Costco, and it's made with Jersey cow milk. And it's so creamy and delicious. And I don't even like yogurt, but I feel good giving that to them. They eat lots of different cheeses, Parmesan, Gouda, Havarti, all that stuff. I'll make like a cream sauce using heavy cream and stuff like that. And so I definitely do dairy and cream cheese. My kids love cream cheese. Like I don't limit cream. I don't limit dairy. Like if they want dairy and it's going to help them eat their meat, do it.
Right. And I agree with you. I think that William loves dairy. He's a big milk drinker. So I mean, the one thing I don't love about milk is just how much sugar is in
Yeah.
it. So if I had one thing that I really didn't like about it, it would probably be that. But yeah, he loves dairy. We are flexible with what dairy we have, and like sour cream we have cream cheese too. We do have regular cheese. Although he doesn't like eating just plain cheese by itself. So at least that's kind of good because I feel like in the past, if he had too much cheese, it would kind of go towards backing up a little bit. So I think that's kind of a good thing. And that's the other things I think you just have to watch how much dairy they're having, not only for
Mhm.
like, the sugar content, but also just like it can back them up real easily. So I feel like I feel like that's my perspective on it.
Yeah, I find that my kids are pretty regular. Like
Yeah.
I'm always taking people to the bathroom or changing diapers. I'm just like there's always a butt that needs to be wiped in my house. But I could definitely see that happening. If you have too much dairy, it could back you up for sure. Yeah, dairy's cool in our houses.
Yes, yeah. All right. I want to actually kind of ask a related question. What do you make during the week for food for you and your family?
Oh yeah, it's super simple. Like in the morning, I will make sausages for my kids because that's my daughter's favorite food, Italian sausages. And it's pretty clean ingredients. Like we get like a higher quality one from Costco. It does have seasoning in it. That's probably like the most seasoning that the kids have. Everything else I don't use seasoning on anything else because I personally can't tolerate it. It like really flares up my rosacea and my acne. And so a typical breakfast will be sausages with that. really good yogurt that I was telling you about. And then I'll put some frozen wild blueberries, like just a few in there. That encourages them to eat the yogurt. And so that'll kind of be like breakfast. And then I'll make myself eggs. And sometimes I'll eat the sausages. I don't really eat, I save the yogurt for them. So I'll have maybe like one of those sausages. And then I'll make a bunch of eggs. And then my son will have whatever I'm eating, basically. Like he likes to come over. He'll come over to this chair. And I'm like, like before I even take my first bite, I'm like, here you go. Just pass it over to him. So he'll have a second breakfast with mommy and have eggs. And then a typical lunch would be burger patties with bacon, and probably some cheese on the side. And that would be a typical lunch. And then a dinner, sometimes a dinner will also be burger patties because my daughter is very limited to like the types of meat she likes. But then my son will pick, like if we have picanha or we have steak or we have fish, like he'll eat that as well. He's definitely a lot more open. So I always try to have like sausages, bacon, and burger patties at the ready for my daughter because those are the ones she prefers. We're trying to get her to eat some chicken. She had some chicken the other day. It was she didn't cry, which she usually would if we tried to introduce a new food. And she was like, she actually ate some of it. So I'm like hopeful. I'm like, come on, anything, please. I would love her to start eating more eggs and more fish and stuff like that. So it's definitely, it's going in the right direction. So that's kind of like a typical day meal for the kids. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's probably there's probably some fruit in there too. Like, I don't know, like a quarter of an apple with lunch or a little tiny orange, something like that every once in a while. Throw it in there. Just check it.
I love that because, what you've pretty much stated is pretty affordable too for, I think, people. I think sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so expensive, especially for my family. But when you really look at it and you're not buying like chips and, sugary type foods, I think it cuts out a lot of the price and it ends up being, the same or less. So,
Yeah, we spend about like for a family of four, we spend about $500 a month
sure.
on a good month, and then maybe like 700. Like we're just like too much food, like keep buying picanha or something like that. But we're definitely on a budget for sure
Yeah.
with food. We're a one income household.
I think Kirsty would argue that there's never enough picanha.
Exactly. She's the one that got me hooked on it. It's her fault. She's a good influencer. That's what I tell her. It's like, stop being a good influencer and making me eat picanha.
How dare you? Okay, I want to talk about your husband next again. How has your relationship changed with him since the diet or since you've started the diet?
How much time do you have? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'd say I've known my husband a long time. I've known him since I was 16 and he was 17, 15, 16. He was 17 years old in high school. I had a crush on him, but he dated my friend instead. And I cursed him and I got very angry at him, but we still remained friends. And then we, did our college years and stuff like that. So, but he always kept coming into my life. And my husband really suffered with ulcerative colitis. And that really started plaguing him around 18, 19 years old. And like near-death experiences, like really, really bad. And so when we finally got together and he was more stable because he's on Remicade, which is kind of like a sister drug to chemotherapy. It's an infusion that he gets like every 2 months, every 3 months. There's a reason why I don't remember, but it's with him. He's the first person that taught me I need to read labels. He's the first person that told me I need to stop eating McDonald's and Burger King and all that stuff. He's the first person that really made me think about what food can do to your body because he knew firsthand that certain foods made him have so much pain. And so there was always that that consciousness there. And him and I, we have a really great relationship because we can just talk. We could just talk about anything. And I think that's something that's really beautiful about our relationship. And I feel like with being on, now that we're both on carnivore, like he hasn't really had an infusion in a long time. That's probably not good if something bad happens, but like it's been many, many months where he, like, oh my gosh, how many months has been? Like at least 6, 7 months where he's not had any of those infusions. And he has a lot more energy overall. I mean, there's some days where he's just like, he's tired because he works, and, you know, I think any person can be like that. And he's also trying to get off coffee. And I think that's affecting his energy, honestly. But how it's affected our relationship, I feel like it's the same, but now I'm more present because I don't have that depression anymore. I'm not like, you know, huffing and puffing after a few steps, you know, and I feel like there's a lot more passion between us, and he sees the change in me and he's so proud of me and he makes me feel so good. And I really, really appreciate him. And I'm always looking forward to talking to him. Like when he comes home and I'm with the kids all day and I'm just like, talk to me, please. Like look at me in the eyes and just talk to me. So I definitely think I'm better wife to him. And I think I'm matching his energy now, the effort that he puts into the relationship. But do I mess up sometimes? Like today I was a very good wife today. I kept spacing out when I was talking. So it just happens, but I was making a joke. But yeah, I'd say that our relationship has gotten better because I can match his energy now.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, it's one of those benefits of doing it together. You
Mhm.
you heal so much, and you're able to, like you said, have that energy to actually like be connected with them, and be more supportive to each other. And so I think it's a beautiful benefit to marriage and relationships. If you guys are watching and new to this, and want to try it with your partner, I think it's great, and you get extra support that way, which is awesome. So I'm just going to take a moment to pull up your channel, and then we can share it.
Awesome.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, of course. So she is from Nourishment Redacted. So let's show that over the screen really fast.
This has been really fun, by the way.
It has been. It really has. I always love chatting with you. It's fun, and I feel like our stories mimic each other a little bit, and we just have a lot in common. So it's nice. It's nice to have, like we were talking about, that support, and being able to kind of bounce ideas off of each other at times, or just vent to each other sometimes. It's nice to,
Yeah.
you know, like we understand each other, you know, we understand where the other one's coming from. So it's awesome. So this is Ellie's channel. Please go like, subscribe, start interacting on her channel. She blessed us by having, or by coming onto the channel today. So please return the favor and go to hers and just subscribe right away.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. I do want to end with two questions, but the first thing is, what are the benefits you have noticed on the carnivore diet? You've listed some of them, but if there's any ones that you haven't talked about, maybe we can talk about them now.
You know, it's so funny because when you start becoming healthy, you completely forget what happened to you previously. Okay, so I'm gonna start from my head and go down so I don't forget. So I used to have dandruff, like really bad dandruff since I was a younger girl. I used to have a unibrow, like not really, really dark, but like a lot of hair here, and that's like gone, which is awesome. My skin is still an issue. I still have flare ups for my rosacea. I still have flares with acne, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I have been using castor oil, which has been helpful in that. I might need some medical intervention just for a little while, just to like kind of calm it down. But I think that most days, I think it's a lot better. I used to literally be like completely red and have these giant blotches on my face. So I definitely am not complaining now. I feel like my body composition has gotten so much better. Like I said, I've lost over 33 inches in this past year. And so, and it's been, there were like many months where I didn't lose any pounds at all, but I was a very avid measurement taker. And so I've gone from like, for my heaviest, I was like an extra large shirt, and now I'm wearing like a small. When I was doing carnivore, I think I was like a large, and now I'm small. So that was really, really great. I
Awesome.
thank you. Yeah, with my pant size, I was a size 16, and now I'm a size 10, which is like, what is happening? I never thought that I would get down to the 10 size. Oh my lord. Anyway, another benefit that I've had on the carnivore diet is that my skin doesn't feel so dry anymore. I used to have very, very dry skin, and now it's just like normal skin now. Yay. Um, sorry, I'm so awkward.
It's okay. Me too.
Yay, awkward.
Together.
Um, exactly. I feel like, okay, so I had a lot of weight. So when I was like back when I was 240 pounds, I used to have a lot of uh what is it called? Skin tags, and I had a lot of rubbing of the legs, and so I would have these like small holes starting to like the skin was starting to like deteriorate, and because I've lost the weight, they no longer do that. Although there is a lot of damage still there, but it's like they're scars, at this point. And just continuing to lose weight will help with that. I've seen a big reduction in cellulite, which my mother told me when I was a little girl that if I ate sour cream, I would get cellulite, and you never get rid of cellulite. And I'm seeing less cellulite. Um, what else? My knees, they no longer are in pain. I never got the surgery. Like when I had dislocated my knee, they wanted me to have surgery. I'm not getting that surgery. I don't need it. And my daughter needs to go to bed. That's what she needs to do. And mental health, depression is gone, anxiety is gone, panic attacks are gone. My periods are regular. Like, I mean, what else? Like, there's so many benefits. And all the kids are crying. Sorry, mama. I don't
It's
know if you
okay.
can hear
No,
that.
um, I'm a mom too, so I know how that is. Don't feel bad at all. So it sounds like you have a lot of benefits. I've noticed them too. So that leads me to my next short question. Do you see yourself staying on the carnivore diet for life?
For life. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think that you shouldn't fix what's not broken. Like if it's working for you and you're feeling optimal in your body, you you should like keep going with it. But then there's a part of me that's like, wouldn't it be nice if I can see if I really am healed from like my emotional eating habits, and if I can be a moderator? I would just want to see where I could go. But then at the same time, I'm like, like, do I really want to do it? I'm like on the fence. So I can't say forever, but if anything, absolutely, I'd probably go back to keto. But the crux with keto was, all those substitution foods. So I would definitely stay away from those and be whole food keto or low carb even. But honestly, I love carnivore so much. It's changed my life forever. So I just want to continue and see. I basically want to find the best diet for Ellie. So
Yeah.
when I have the best diet for Ellie, and if it involves adding some other foods, I will do it. I'm not going to be dogmatic about it. But so far, I'm really happy, and this is where I am, and it feels good.
Yeah. I think, to leave you guys with some thoughts, I think, this diet serves as an elimination diet too. And so it's nice because if you do go back to something, you can see how that affects your skin or how it affects your energy and things like that. So I really respect that about the carnivore diet because you might be able to add some things back in. Um, and I understand your points. Like you might want to see how you do on some other things too. And um, So I understand that. I really appreciate you coming on. It was such a pleasure to have you. The last thing I would like you to do is, if there's anything on your heart, please share that with us today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, actually I have there's a moth in my house. That was not what was on my heart. Okay. It's like, what is happening? I've been having a lot of appreciation for the simplicity of life that Carnivore has given me. And I recently have posted a video talking about how my previous house was having a lot of flooding issues, and I've just moved here, and how easy life can be when you remove all of like these external stressors. And I feel like with the carnivore diet, it makes food so simple. It makes me not I don't have the mental illnesses anymore. I don't have the physical limitations anymore. And I feel like every day is simple. And I think that's a beautiful thing. A lot of people crave in life to have all like materialism, like all these things and so much presence on social media, or they're just too engaged with it and they're not being focused on what's truly important in my life, which I choose to be important, is my family and growing as a person. And so I want to promote that. I guess I would want to put the message out there to remember to be thankful and to and honor that simplicity and really like dive into it and declutter some stuff. Get rid of some stuff. I feel good. It's totally
It's
off topic.
it's therapeutic to do that, but I love your message. It was a great one, and I wholeheartedly agree. And I think carnivore helps you channel your gratitude a little bit more. At least I've found that too, like kind of like.
Mhm.
So, thank you again, and thanks to everybody who is watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of those great things, and we will leave you guys there tonight. See you guys.